Good morning, students. I hope you are all fine, hale, and hearty, and refreshed also for the second term. So, let us begin with the second term. The first topic which we are going to take up for the second term is a poem. It is a beautiful poem, actually. The poem which we are going to talk about today, it talks about a very beautiful abstract component of human personality, that is hope. Now, what is hope actually? We can say that it is a positive feeling inside us, no? It is an expectation, or it is a desire for something to happen, no? And it is a positive feeling, definitely, which is inside us, which helps us to sail through difficulties. It is always there inside our subconscious minds. Subconscious means which we are not reminded of every day, but becomes active whenever we are undergoing a bad phase. Like, for example, whenever we have exams and papers, we always hope something, paper may, paper should be easy. That is one hope. Suppose we've left some chapters, one or two, or we've left some questions or topics. So we hope that those topics should not be there in the question paper. That is hope. And this present time which we are undergoing, the corona phase of our lives, we are all sustaining just because of hope. Everybody hopes. That first hope is we should not get that disease. Okay? And God forbid, if we get it, at least we should be able to come out of it hale and hearty, and nobody should get affected by it. That is a hope. So I hope you have understood. See, another hope I'm saying. So you might have understood what is actually hope. And the poem which we are going to take, let me introduce you to that. Take up is The Hope is the Thing with Feathers. It is written by Emily Dickenson. Now, if we talk about Emily Dickenson, she was an American poet, and she wrote many poems. But the bad part, the worst part was that most of her poems, they got published only after her death. Only a few, about a dozen poems, they got published when she was alive. Rest of the poems, they got published after her death. That they got published. They were noticed by her sister, and she got them published. So let us come to the poem. Hope is the Thing with Feathers. Let me just tell you in short what this poem talks about. I'll give you a short idea of the poem. Now, in this poem, the poet has used the word hope as a metaphor. Now, let me tell you what is a metaphor. Now, metaphor is when you compare one thing with something else, like we do it in similes. But in similes, those things, they are related to each other, or they have something in common. But in a metaphor, we compare two totally different things. They don't have anything in common. But the poet is comparing them or using them together to bring out a very unique common feature. Something which is not common, but to bring out one point. So here the word hope, it is used as a metaphor, and the poet is comparing the word hope to something with feathers. And we all know what is that something with feathers? Of course, the bird. So the poet is comparing the word hope to a bird. Now see how totally different these two things are. Hope is something inside us, It's a kind of feeling, we can say, an expectation in us. And feathers and birds, they are totally different. They have nothing in common. But the poet is comparing hope with the birds, because she wants to say that hope can go up to any heights like a bird. Okay, so that is why here the hope is used as a metaphor. And the hope is used as a metaphor and is compared to a strong-willed bird. So, what kind of bird? Strong-willed, which has got a strong determination. Strong-willed bird that lives within the human soul and sings no matter what the circumstances are. Through this poem, the poet reminds us about the power of hope and how little it asks from us. The poet talks about how hope has been useful to us in times of difficulty and has never asked for anything in return. So, we can say that this poem is a kind of hymn of praise. Hymn, you all know, prayerful song we say. So, it's a kind of hymn of praise written to honor the human capacity for hope. So, I hope you got some idea. Again, my hope. So, I expect that you might have understood you might have got some idea about what the poem is. Okay, so first we'll go through the reading of the poem, and after that we'll come to the explanation. So I hope you have the book with you, children. Please open your book and open this chapter, Hope is the Thing with Feathers, and let us read it together. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune with the words, without the words, and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sour must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I have heard it in the chilliest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. So, I hope you found this poem very sweet and very beautiful, no? Very nicely written poem, very nicely expressed. So, let us start with the first paragraph. The first two lines, hope is the thing with feathers. So, the speaker defines the word hope as a feathered creature, or the hope, and the poet is comparing the word hope with birds, feathered creature, and which dwells inside the human spirit. This is the second line. It's written that perches in the soul. Underline the word perches. Perches means sits. No, perches. The birds, they perch on the branch of a tree. So here, hope is such kind of a bird that perches in the human soul, inside our spirit. Okay. Now next line, and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. So the poet says that this feathery thing sings a wordless tune, not stopping under any kind of circumstances. Okay, so the poet says, now hope never sings, na? We just hope, we just feel it, we just imagine, or we just expect. But here, because the poet is comparing the word hope to a bird, so a bird sings. So the poet is saying it sings, but it does not have any words, because expectations, they don't have any words. So the poet says that this bird, the hope bird, it sings the tune, but which is without any words. And in the next line, the poet says it never stops at all. So whatever the circumstances come, especially the worst circumstances, the bad circumstances, the difficult circumstances, it never stops. It keeps on flying, and rather it flies better and higher during the difficult times. So let us come to this next paragraph. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. So the next line, and sweetest in the gale is heard. So the poet says that its tune, the sound of this bird hope, it sounds best when we are in difficult times, when it is heard in fierce winds. Actually, the word gale, please underline it, it's already given in the book. The gale means storm. So during a storm, here the word gale is used for difficult time. That you can write down. Gale is difficult time, tough time. So during the tough times, the sound of this bird hope, it appears sweetest to us. And sore must be the storm. And the poet says that it only stops during a sore storm. Sore means very, very bad storm, very, very difficult circumstance. So, only an incredibly severe storm could stop this bird from singing. So, look at the second line. The sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird. So, sore must be, that means the storm, it must be incredibly fierce, very, very bad. Only that type of storm can abash this little bird. Abash means destroy or diminish this little bird or stop this little bird from singing. Otherwise, it is always there with us. We are always hoping for better. But maybe in life there can be some circumstances which are so bad that we are, like when we get some results or something like that. So maybe only in such circumstances this hope dies. This bird does not sing. Otherwise, it's always singing. That kept so many warm. So the poet says that hope is the bird that has kept so many people warm. Here the word warm means hopeful or positive, or we can say comfortable. So I hope this paragraph is clear. Now we come on to the last paragraph. I have heard it in the chilliest land and on the strangest sea. So the poet says, the speaker has heard the birds singing in the coldest of places and on the weirdest of seas. So here the chilliest land means the most worst place. No? And strangest sea means the weirdest of the circumstances. Okay, so underline chilliest lands. Here the word chilliest land mean most difficult circumstances or the worst circumstances, and the strangest sea means the very weird circumstances which we cannot even imagine. But yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. So the poet says, but in my experience, even in the most extreme of situations, this bird hope has never asked anything in return. So here the word crumb means crumb. Actually, the birds, they ask for crumbs. They eat crumbs. We give them crumbs of some food to eat. So here, because the poet has compared the word hope to a bird, so he uses the word crumb here. But this line actually means that this hope is always there with us in extreme of our circumstances, in extreme of our difficulty, and in turn, it never asks anything from us. It never demands anything from us. So I hope this poem is clear to you. So we can say in the end that through this poem, the poet wants us to understand the value of hope. Okay, it is something that helps us to make it through the most difficult of circumstances. So let us not take hope for granted. Let us hold on to it through our rough times, because it is going to fly us to a safer place. So, whenever we'll be in difficult circumstances, it is only hope which is going to sail us through that bad times and fly us to a better place. So, goodbye for now, and you please, children, try read this poem again and try to do the question answers, and then we'll discuss them later. Thank you.